fifth episode begins as Gamble records a junior medical officer's log. He's been stationed aboard the USS Enterprise for 6 months. As he observes Chapel and Korby talking with Mbenga, he reflects that his life is about to change. Mbenga approaches Gamble and they discuss Korby's research. This is related to how immortality and resurrection could relate to ancient technology. Mbenga orders Gamble to charge the biobed medical wands before Marie Batel arrives for treatment. Next, the briefing takes place in the observation lounge. The society on the planet has repeatedly declined to join the Federation, and thus will only allow a small landing party. Pike states this will include Chapel. Una asks if the science team has adjusted the deflector arrays. Spock confirms this and says he will monitor from the Enterprise to make adjustments as necessary. The away team, consisting of Chapel, Gamble, Beto, and Uhura, beam down to the planet. Korby and Injal are already waiting. There is indeed some kind of ancient technology at work. The away team begins setting up. Chapel contacts the bridge and informs them that the pylons are set. Enterprise activates deflector beams. As a result, an ancient temple is revealed. Chapel calls for a bigger landing party. Soon, Spock and La'an join them on the surface as well. Uhura translates the text on the access panel. The path to absolution, only with blood given freely. A sacrifice. Chapel sticks her hand in the access panel. A needle pricks her finger, and a drop of blood is taken. The doors to the temple subsequently open. La'an and Chapel take point as they enter. The space inside is vast and dark. Furthermore, both comms and beaming are prevented by the chamber. Uhura and Beto find a gateway that seems to block light. Gamble finds several corpses. They seem to have died of starvation. Spock says they must exit and reassess the situation in light of this discovery. Korby protests. Spock cites protocol. Chapel cites the Macroon's interests. Spock asks Njal if they should proceed. Njal says his people have a deep desire to learn more about their history. Spock concedes. Gamble and Chapel open one of the corpse's packs. Chapel extracts a memory stone and shares it with Korby. Meanwhile, Gamble picks up an orb which begins to glow. He holds it up to his face. It seems to explode with energy. This energy melts Gamble's eyes. Gamble is beamed into sick bay. Mbenga administers a sedative. He places a visor over Gamble's sockets in order to bioengineer new eyes for him. La'an informs the bridge that the device activated when Gamble picked it up. Pike orders the team to return to Enterprise immediately. Inside the temple, the rest of the away team has discovered a registry of names. But Chapel says it's time for them to go. Korby says he and Njal will stay behind. Beto reveals he sent a camera through the doorway. Inside is a statue. This is recognized by Njal. He says it's evil. He subsequently attempts to flee, but before he can escape, lasers activate and cut him to bits. The door, which appears to be a portal, closes. The away team is trapped inside. In medical, Gamble regains consciousness. Mbenga explains that he was injured on the planet. Pike arrives and asks for a report. Mbenga and Pike discuss the situation. It could have been a biological agent. Something is preventing Gamble's eyes from regenerating. Mbenga admits he's fond of Gamble. Pike says they can't protect everyone, but if anyone can help Gamble, it's Mbenga. In the closed temple, the away team continues to investigate. The door remains locked. They surmise that their survival is linked to Chapel's biosignature. Korby suggests they venture deeper, since remaining still will lead to starvation. Uhura suggests they move to the chamber where Beto's camera was sent. Chapel approaches the door, which scans her. When she reaches across the threshold, the room on the other side illuminates. In medical, Mbenga struggles to identify the source of Gamble's injury. His eyes continue to fail to regenerate, but he shows a newfound familiarity with Mbenga. Mbenga says they need more tests. It seems like Gamble's brain is dead. Gamble begins to panic. Mbenga administers a sedative. He assures Gamble he'll figure the situation out. In the temple, La'an discovers Chinese writing on the statue. Chapel determines the statue has a life sign reading, but it's both alive and not. Chapel reports that the statue's particles are in constant flux, quantum instability on a molecular level. Meanwhile, Spock and Korby appear to be in the same room they just left. Spock examines the corpses, removing a visor from one of them. Korby translates the tablet that the corpses had been carrying. It includes the words parasite or hitchhiker, well, or pit, and the plural of the Macrounian word for evil. Spock uses the visor to examine the room and discovers that the structure at the center is glowing. It is filled with thousands of orbs like those that attacked Gamble. One of these rises. It appears to contain a demon. Spock recoils. Meanwhile, in medical, Gamble rises from his chair. He begins speaking to Mbenga about Rukia. But Mbenga never told Gamble about his daughter. Gamble asks if Mbenga believes the woman he spoke with at the end of the Elysian Kingdom was really his daughter or another entity wearing her skin. Mbenga realizes a foreign intelligence is speaking through Gamble, Vzda. Batel arrives in medical. She seems to recognize Vzda. They speak to each other in strange alien tongues. Then they begin to battle one another. Pike's arrival distracts Batel. This allows Vzda to escape medical. Mbenga sedates Batel, who does not seem like herself. Mbenga catches up with Vzda, who has taken one of the security officers hostage and seems to have killed another. Vzda tells Mbenga he just wants to be himself again and surrenders. Security asks Mbenga if they should bring Vzda to the brig or medical. Chapel reports the unstable phase variances and life sign from the statue. Spock reports the presence of sentient life. Furthermore, Spock has sustained an injury to his hand that he doesn't remember. Beto reports that his cameras have picked up all their biosignatures and layered them appropriately. Spock ascertains that they are in layered dimensional space. They are all in the same room, just in different dimensions. Spock deduces that the orbs contain entities that were brought there due to interdimensional travels in the pursuit of immortality. Leon speculates that the temple is actually a prison for these entities. Vzda is brought to the brig. Mbenga apologizes and says he'll have to look after Vzda from there. Vzda asks what's going to happen to him, but Mbenga can't say. In the temple, Uhura reads the description on the central pedestal, here and not here. Chapel recalls artifacts on a certain planet being placed into similar pedestals. Korby speculates this could be key to unifying the dimensions. Uhura has the ring, and Korby has the tablet. Chapel instructs Korby to place the tablet in a specific location. It becomes visible in the other dimensions. So too does the ring. Chapel speculates she's the key. She picks up the ring and places it on the tablet. An artifact resembling an hourglass appears. All 6 members of the team now share the same dimensional space again. Spock notes that the injury to his hand has seemingly healed, but the pathway to the door has vanished. On Enterprise, Vzda uses personal knowledge of Rex, the security officer, to lure him over. Then, Vzda reaches through the force field and chokes him. Vzda subsequently leaves the brig. In the temple, Spock theorizes they can cross the empty space together, with Chapel as the key. Korby is skeptical, but Spock says it is a matter of science. Chapel is convinced. She convinces Korby to take the risk with them. Further, she instructs him to leave the relic be. The away team crosses the empty space together, the bridge appearing beneath their feet. When they reach the door, it opens for them, and they exit the temple. Korby is still reluctant to leave the relic, but Chapel reassures him. On Enterprise, Vzda holds Sam, Pelia, and Scotty at phaser point. He demands the senior officer command codes. He wants to take control of the vessel from engineering. Mbenga arrives and points his phaser at Vzda. Vzda doubts Mbenga could kill his favorite ensign, but Sam doubts that Gamble is still inside. Pelia shoots Vzda in the back. A ghostly entity begins to rise from Gamble's corpse. Scotty traps this entity in an orb. Then he beams away the orb to nowhere, the transporter buffer. In the observation lounge, Chapel, Lon, and Spock are debriefed by Pelia, Mbenga, and Pike. Spock says the transporter buffer is the best location they have to keep the orb. The Macroons are considering joining the Federation. Lon speculates that Gamble might have used the ship's phasers to set the entities imprisoned in the temple free. Mbenga suggests this could have had galactic consequences. Pelia apologizes to Mbenga, but says she thinks Gamble was already gone. Beto wonders if the entities were indeed evil. Pike says, good and evil are relative terms, but Pelia believes there is indeed evil in the universe. She worries about what might happen if the entities escape the prison. Later, in medical, Mbenga reviews the data on Vzda. Mbenga takes a call and informs Gamble's family of his death. But as he walks away from the data on Vzda, the computer screen begins to flicker ominously.